All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're investigating the silent guardian of your basement, the sump pump. We usually walk right past it, completely ignoring it, but today, we're putting it front and center.
Our source material hits the nail on the head with this one. A sump pump is one of those home systems you hope you'll never need until it stops working at the worst possible time. I mean, that perfectly captures the incredibly high stakes of a flooded basement, right? Your sump pump is basically this quiet system that completely hides its flaws in the dark, right up until a major storm hits and disaster strikes.
So that leads us to the big question. How can you actually spot a failure before it happens? For this analysis, I want you to go ahead and put on your detective hat. We're going to figure out how to spot subtle clues around your home before the ultimate crime of basement flooding even occurs. And hey, the good news here is that these problems usually show up gradually.
Well, the crucial point is that there are exactly 6 warning signs or, 6 clues that we need to investigate today. By treating these early warning signs as actual maintenance alerts rather than just wait-and-see moments, you can completely avoid the massive headache of a flooded home. So let's get right into the evidence.
Starting us off is clue 1, subtle clues. Specifically, when water just isn't going down as fast as it used to. If you notice the basement water level rising for a longer period between pump cycles, or if it's taking noticeably more time for that water to clear out after a heavy rain, your pump is struggling. It's a simple decline in your pump's day-to-day performance. Like, it's working, but it's sluggish. And why does this matter? Because a sluggish drain is a major red flag that the pump is fighting against a partially clogged intake, heavy sediment buildup, or maybe even a dying motor. It is literally a cry for help before it comes to a full stop.
Moving right along to clue 2, rapid cycling. This is when the pump runs way more often than normal.
Instead of just looking at the water, try paying close attention to the frequency of the cycles. If you hear it turning on and off rapidly, it's being asked to do way more work than usual. To understand why, we have to look at the float switch. This is the mechanism that floats on the water and tells the pump when to kick on and off. If this float gets stuck, or if the adjustment is faulty, it won't trigger at the correct water level. That inefficient operation forces your pump to cycle over and over again, which rapidly accelerates wear and tear.
Okay, clue 3 brings us to sensory warnings. We're talking strange noises, vibrations, or what we call hard starts. Now, some pumps normally make periodic operating sounds, and that's totally fine. But beware of grinding, rattling, screeching, or excessive humming. If you're hearing those, your pump might be suffering from debris caught inside, worn-out bearings, or even actual damage to the impeller.
You also absolutely need to watch out for hard starts. Listen closely during a startup. If the pump hesitates before turning on, or if you hear the motor engage and hum but the water flow is weak or just completely absent, a major electrical or mechanical failure is underway. This is very often a sign of a bad clog or a loss of prime.
For our 4th clue, we're looking for the rising tide, where the water line rises higher than expected.
You might actually notice a higher puddle line along the concrete floor, or dampness showing up much sooner after a rain than it used to. This just means the pump isn't delivering enough discharge. A key culprit here is often the check valve. This is a one-way valve on the discharge line that stops pumped water from falling right back into the pit. When this little valve fails, it completely sabotages your whole system.
Here's how this builds into a super deceptive failure. Step 1, the pump actually works. It successfully pushes the water out of the basement. But in step 2, that failing check valve just can't hold the water back. So in step 3, the pumped water flows right back into the pit. It makes it look like the pump didn't work at all, when really, the water just returned to where it started. Crazy, right?
All right, clue 5, the physical evidence. Look for corrosion, leaks, or a foul smell.
Let's get into the slightly gross details here. Watch out for visible rust, strange residue around the basin, and strong, foul odors in the pit. While a sump pit is obviously expected to be moist, persistent water seepage around power connections is a massive safety concern. Plus, excessive sediment and odors mean dirt from the surrounding soil is straining the pump. These degrading internal components aren't just messy, they're loudly telling you the system's seals are failing.
And finally, clue 6, the interrogation. This is when your test runs just don't perform as they should. A short manual test might actually work, and the pump turns on. But if that test produces weak pumping,
odd sounds, or any kind of delayed response, please do not assume it's fine. A pump might survive a 10-second test, but completely fail under the sustained heavy water conditions of a real storm. Remember, any delayed response during an interrogation test is an actionable maintenance signal, for sure. So we've gathered all 6 of our clues. Now it's time for the resolution. What to do if you spot warning signs. If you've been investigating your basement and you suspect a failure based on any of the clues we just covered, you need a clear action plan. Acting early is literally the entire point of spotting these signs.
Follow these manufacturer-recommended actions step by step. First, start with the basics. Clear any debris right out of the basin. Second, inspect that discharge line to make absolutely sure it's unobstructed. Third, physically confirm the float moves freely and isn't stuck. And finally, step 4, if you still have weak pumping, humming, or rapid cycling, it is time to call a qualified technician to inspect the motor, impeller, check valve, and wiring. Address these issues early rather than waiting for a full-on breakdown.
One absolute must-do before we wrap up is verifying your backup protection is in place. Severe storms bring heavy rains, but they also bring power outages. Because electrical power is so critical during a storm, checking your backup battery systems is just as vital as checking the main pump. Oh, and also, make sure the pump's power is actually matched to your home's drainage needs. Which leaves us with this final question. Will you wait for the disaster to happen, or will you investigate your basement's silent guardian today? Don't wait for the puddle to reach your stairs. Take 10 minutes, head downstairs, and use these 6 clues to ensure your home stays completely dry. Happy investigating!